Yasser Tabbara is the spokesman for the main Syrian opposition coalition's prime minister in exile. Good to have you with us. Can you tell us, first of all, your reaction to those elements of the opposition, particularly the FSA, who say Ghassan Hitto has been imposed on them?
Well, first of all, we need to lay the factual ground. Mr. Ghassan Hitto, since his election by the coalition, has been inside Syria at least 3 times, where he met with a number of fighting factions and the most important representatives, basically, of the fighting battalions under the command of the Chief of Staff, General Salim Idris. And all of these people have reiterated their support to him personally as the elected president of the interim government by the Syrian coalition, and their commitment to support his government as it gains its confidence from the coalition and goes through the process. In fact, the Minister of Defense is going to be nominated by these factions and basically approved by Mr. Hitto and the coalition. So, factually speaking, when we say that some members of the fighting opposition aren't in support of Mr. Hitto, I think we need to be to qualify that remark and face the reality that all the time in the opposition you will not have a 100% unified position.
Okay, you may not have a 100% unified position,
again,
but what so would be your message to a very important element of the opposition, that's the armed part, the FSA? What would your message back to them who aren't entirely sure of Ghassan Hitto?
These are not the messages, the official messages of the FSA. The official body that is the umbrella of the fighting factions on the ground is the military council headed by General Salim Idris. And that Joint Chief of Command is comprised of a number of leaders of these battalions. And the majority of these leaders have met with Mr. Ghassan Hitto and have expressed their full support to him. Again, these are the people that are going to basically nominate the civilian Minister of Defense, who is going to oversee the entire process and liaise between the coalition and the government and the fighters on the ground. One of the most important aspects of the visits of Mr. Ghassan Hitto and the leadership of the coalition to London and their meeting with Mr. William Hague and Mr. Kerry is to express the direct and unequivocal ask that we need their help with establishing a no-fly zone that protects the civilians and gives the leverage to those on the ground to actually tip the balance of power with the Assad regime, to stop the firing of the Scud missiles, to stop the firing of the MiGs flying over densely populated areas, which are the last resorts that have been used by the Assad regime. So I think the picture is not as bleak as it sounds. I think there has to be a setup of the factual
Let me jump in here if I could. I'm glad you raised the meeting in London. What is your expectation that will come out of that? When you used euphemisms like the means and no-fly zones, what exactly are you asking for? Are you asking for weapons, and do you think you'll get it?
This is the first meeting between the president of the interim government, Mr. Ghassan Hitto, and leaders in the Western international community. And that the main point of that meeting is to demonstrate, first of all, the unity and the cooperation that is taking place at the level between the coalition and the government that was produced by the coalition, democratically elected, and to start building the bridges and the important relationships to ask for the specific asks, the specific forms of support. And what we have expressed unequivocally to Mr. Hague and others that we've met with today and yesterday was the fact that we need them to empower, the fighters on the ground with the sophisticated weaponry to enforce a no-fly zone, to perhaps involve the Patriot missiles that are placed on the southern Turkish border in order for that to provide a cover to the interim government that is going to be operating from the Syrian soil, that would provide the air cover from the the Scud missiles and the aircraft of the Assad regime, and to basically give the general much needed support to the military council. Now we have an interim government that is in the making. Within the next few weeks, we will announce the number of ministries, the number of the leaders of these ministries.
Okay, very good, sir. Sorry, because we're running out of time here. If I could jump in again. If you don't get that, would anything less than a promise to give you that sophisticated weaponry and the use of Patriot missiles, as you put it, anything less than that, would that be a letdown, the international community letting you down?
We have focused on the inside of Syria. We have focused on the ground from day one. Mr. Hitto keeps saying from day one, as he forms his government, his cabinet, one of the most important criteria for those who will work under him in the government are their willingness to work from the ground, from inside Syria. That is going to be a government for the state of Syria from inside. So our focus, our entire focus is towards working and empowering those on the ground. We believe in the ability of the fighters on the ground to actually tip the balance of power. What we are hoping for is that the international community help us minimize the amount of casualties getting to the point of toppling the Assad regime.
All right, we could go on with this for a while, but we'll have to leave it there for now. Thanks so much, Yasser Tabbara.